Incoming message.
Hey dudes, it's Jeff the Alien coming to you from outer space, and you're listening to the Weird Minds podcast hosted by my boy, Corey Hollow. Enjoy the show.
So how you been, man?
Good, good, doing good, getting excited for our shows.
Hell yeah, what have you been up to?
Just working. I'm actually getting ready to move, so I've been packing up a lot of my stuff here at the house and getting ready to move.
Hell yeah, I just did that like
I'm
a few months
moving.
ago. That shit's so painful moving.
Yeah, it just sucks packing up all your stuff and then having to re
Yep.
re unpack.
We've been moved in for probably almost 7 months now. We still haven't finished technically like fully unpacking yet.
Yeah, yep. I'm moving out to Nebraska, so I'm actually going across state lines and everything too. So
Hell yeah. What's if you
yeah.
don't mind me asking, what's got you moving out to Nebraska?
Family.
Hell yeah.
Pretty much, and it's a lot cheaper to live there than Utah.
No, I gotcha.
So, yeah.
So tell me about
Yeah.
The Devil Below. What kind of got the project started? What's it about?
All right. So, I used to be in a band about 15 years ago, a rock band called Angel Felt, and we were pretty popular back then. We opened for a bunch of big bands, got to play on some really cool shows. Um, I kind of took a break from music after about 10 years. I took a break. I kind of started writing a novel, which I have published now.
Hell yeah, what's the novel's
Um,
title?
it's called The Secret Future. It's
Hell
a
yeah, what's that
sci-fi
about?
novel.
Cool, that's so fucking
So
cool.
yeah, so it's kind of like a lot of people that have read it love it. They say it's like a mix between Terminator and like Ready Player One.
Hell yeah. What made
So
you kind of getting like inspired to write a sci-fi novel?
I actually had the idea for about like 15 years, and then I just never really had the time to write the novel. And then during that break from the band that I was in, I just kind of was like, well, I got all this time. I may as well, put it to some use now. And I just decided to like really focus on it, and I got it done. I got it published last year in May, and now that I'm actually working on a project now with a friend of mine who's a director, and
Oh,
he's
that's
going
so
to
cool.
make a live action movie of my
Hell
book.
yeah. That is so fucking
Yeah,
cool. And I've always been
yeah.
curious about this. Can you explain kind of the process of how you go about finding like a publisher or getting a book published?
So I independently published my book. So I don't have like an actual like publishing agent or publisher or anything like that. I just went to a bunch of different distributors and uploaded my book, and then they converted it to like an ebook, or Google converted it to an audio book.
That's so cool.
Um, but yeah, so it only took about like a week or two to before everything was like finalized and uploaded. But yeah, but writing it took about, it was a good, probably a good year at least before I had like the first cut, handwritten
Yeah.
and everything. And
So
yeah, it was
what
quite a
was the process
process.
like for that then, going through like writing a book? And because I know it's for like music, like songwriting, you're kind of it's in a sense you're writing a story, but very broken down, very short and kind of to the point. But how was the process for you writing the book?
Um, it actually went pretty well because I had so long, like so much time, from the time I came up with the idea to the time I finished writing the first edit. I actually just wrote the whole book all at once, and then I went back and then revised each chapter one at a time. So that kind of helped break it down. It kind of helped build the story arc a little bit better. The plot was a little bit better once I kind of broke everything down into just single chapters and then edited everything by chapter. and
Oh yeah.
and then I was able to also fix all the continuity issues that I had during the first writing, the initial cut of it. So, but yeah, it was, once I had the initial draft done, it was actually fairly easy just to go back and like, oh, okay, I misspelled this word, or I chose a better word that fit that part of the book better, or that sentence better. So
Okay,
yeah.
so then can you tell about kind of what the story is, who the main characters
Yeah.
and all that kind of? Yeah.
Yeah, so Dylan, he's like a high school dropout. His parents both have passed away. So he's like 20 years old at the beginning of the book. And he meets this woman who travels back in time to protect him from a guy who travels back in time to try to kill him. So it sounds Terminator-ish, but it's not like Terminator, but just the story sounds like it when I
Oh yeah, I get what
explain
you're
it.
saying. Yeah.
But yeah, but there's a
That's so
lot more
cool.
involved. Yeah, there's a lot more involved. It takes place in the future, like 2035. The technology is advanced back then, and the country itself, even in the book, is like advanced as a whole. And the country in my book is divided in half. So there's like the eyed side and the blind side, because the eyed side is like monitored by this AI intelligence that monitors everybody's movement on that side of the country. And the blind side is where it's like kind of how it is, maybe 20, 30 years ago, like where we were only monitored based on what cameras we had or whatever, like just normal, I guess, civilization back then.
Yeah.
So people got to choose what side of the country they wanted to live on. And so they all live on the eyed side at the beginning of the book. They travel to the blind side where they aren't being monitored by this AI intelligence, and they're monitoring their, every movement. And but yeah, it's a lot of really cool like, well, I don't want to say special effects, but like a lot of really cool, like technology, is advanced technologies in it. Futuristic, like biological weaponry is in it. A lot of really cool action filled chapters are in it, like,
Oh yeah.
gun, shootouts. And like there's a scene where Karen takes a pill from her time from the future, and each one of these pills gives the person who takes it a different ability. So like she takes this pill, and she can like now like defy gravity and like run on the walls, like,
That's so
or up on the
cool.
roof. She can, yeah, just stuff like that. There's a bunch of different pills that she has, and she takes them for each scenario that comes up in the book and everything. But there's another one that, like, where she clones herself like into three versions of herself, and they have this really cool shootout in this big field and everything.
Oh,
But
that's so cool.
it's yeah, it's pretty cool. It's really neat, and I enjoyed writing it. I actually have read it myself like two or three times since I
Fuck yeah.
published it, just because I like it so much,
That's
you know.
awesome. So when you were going through the process, Brian, did you already have like kind of like the whole story, like plot line kind of figured out, or did you like go beforehand kind of creating like the characters' backstories and like the locations, kind of like themes and all that kind of stuff first? How did you kind of like go
Um,
through getting those two to tie together?
yeah, yeah. So I kind of did, I forget what they call it. I forget the word that they use for it, but basically I did like character bios on each character, and that kind of helped me write the each chapter, and what each character would feel during a certain moment in time, or what each character, how they would react. Like if I had written, Dylan with anger issues, past trauma and stuff, like something in the book that would happen where someone's trying to kill him, it might like traumatize him like more than like somebody who maybe had been to war or something, where they could probably handle it maybe a little better or something. So it definitely broke down each character and their mental state, I guess, like how they would feel, how they would react, how they would behave in certain situations. And it definitely helped me with the character building process throughout the book.
Oh yeah, that's so cool. I've been trying to work on like, from what it sounds like, it to me, just the way my brain's connecting it. I've been trying to work on like writing a D&D campaign for like me and a bunch of friends to kind of do, and I've always been kind of stuck on like how, like where do I start at? How do I start it? How do I create the scene where we're at? How do I create these different locations to allow like the people that create the characters, because I don't know who the characters are going to be yet. So how do I like what you're saying, how you build those different scenes and how you build them up? That's so
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, yeah, and I've actually played D&D before, D&D, and the other one, GURPS. I've actually done that one too.
What's GURPS? I
So
haven't heard that one.
It's basically D&D, but it's like a different brand.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's the same scenario. Like you know, this you build a story. There's a map. There's characters. You know,
Oh yeah,
you
so then
roll
would you
dice.
oh yeah, so then would you
So
say that DMing is would be very close to writing like an actual like full manuscript storyline?
it's pretty close, at least with the process I did. You know, I'm sure every author and whatever has their own way and
Mhm.
process of writing a book and stuff. But definitely the way I did it, it's a lot. It's really close for
That's so
sure.
cool.
So,
Fuck yeah, dude.
yeah, yeah.
So we were saying with the Devil Below back, kind of how you guys got started, how everything has been going.
Yeah. Yeah, so I took that break, I wrote the novel, published it, and then I really started getting back into the local scene here in Utah. And I was like, you know, I really like a lot of these bands that are coming out. And I started listening heavily into like a lot of the newer music, like on the like YouTube music and Spotify, and Falling in Reverse kept coming up into my playlist. And I was like, man, I really miss, you know, making music like that. You know, I really want to make music again. And so, what kind of started the idea was when I finished, just right after I finished uploading my novel to all these platforms, I wanted to make a soundtrack for the book. So, like when you're reading it, you could listen to the music and kind of get a feel, more in-depth feel
More,
of like
yeah,
how I'm
more
exactly in
immersion.
it.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, exactly. And so I actually started doing the soundtrack, and as I was doing the soundtrack and putting that together, um, I was like, man, I bet I could, you know, make some really good music like myself. And I came up with a song. I used this music I found online. It was just like a free like sampling type thing, and I just kind of made like a demo song of what I was capable of doing, vocally, lyrically, you know, whatnot. And the song is called Gravity, and that was actually the first song I did under the Devil Below name. And then I showed a bunch of my friends, and everyone was like, "Man, that sounds really good. Like you should like get a band together again and start making music again." So I met a buddy of mine at work, and he made music, but his music was a little different. He kind of makes like, you know, beats and like dubstep
Gotcha. Yeah.
type
Hell
stuff.
yeah. So cool.
So yeah, so we kind of merged together. I was like, "Hey, would you want to do a song with me?" And then we did one song, and then I was like, "Man, this sounds really good. We should like keep going." And we just kept going, made a whole album, and then now our third album is coming out on October 7th. Um, and it's got a lot of good stuff on it.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So, but that it's just the two of us. It's just me and Tyrell. We he makes a bunch of the beats. I do a lot more of the rock side of our albums, and I do all the lyrics and all the vocals. And yeah, so it's
That's
it's
so
just the
fucking
two of
cool.
us.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of topics do you guys typically like talk about, or since you said you do a lot of like the lyrics and stuff like that, what is mostly kind of like the premises or kind of themes of your songs?
Yeah, and I usually get this question quite often, and it's a good one because I actually like answering this one. So a lot of the songs that I write about are either stuff that I personally have been through in my life or how I felt, you know, past trauma, or just when I'm feeling down or depressed or something. I usually will dig really deep into my emotions and start writing a song, and whatever comes out is just kind of like, man, that sounds amazing, or wow, those lyrics are awesome. Then there's the fun side of me, like where I tend to write about, you know, just like dancing or partying, or you know, being just living life to the fullest,
Fuck
and
yeah. Hell
you
yeah.
know, not letting anyone get you down. So, and
Hell
then
yeah. So
everything in between.
that's awesome. That's kind of one of the things that I've always found with like the rock or like metal kind of scenes that has always drawn me the most is that when you look at like a lot of like nowadays like country artists or pop artists, they're not really talking about anything that's really truly real to them, or like they're
Mhm.
hitting the popular trends in whatever genre they're in or whatever you know category. And I always hate that shit, that we always put ourselves as a tribal race we are, always putting ourselves in these kind of like blocks, as I guess I
Mhm.
would say. But I always that's one of the things I've definitely always loved with metal music, and just like because I know that I'm the same way. I'm always trying to find things that are either happening within my life, or I'm going through like social media and just hearing different people's stories, or like with this podcast, finding out all these different people's stories. I'll take these and if something really hits me or moves me right now, and then out of nowhere, just words, and you probably know what I'm saying, or words just start flowing, just so that certain thing or moment that just kind of hits you and really, and that's what I've always found with metal is that we always either talking about something like current within like the actual world news that's like actually needs an eye or needs something put on it. We're always talking about mental health and the actual true important things that need to be taken care of that are actually what I would consider like a crisis in our nation and within the world.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree on that. And you're right. A lot of the mainstream artists that you hear like on radios or on ads or on Facebook or whatever, like a lot of them are just talking about, a specific topic that's popular right then in that moment, but then you get a lot of the people who are like, you know what, I'm tired of listening to about politics, because the election's coming up or whatever. It's like I want to hear something, more fun that I can go dance to or that I
Yep.
can just listen to and chill out at home, and
Escape to,
I-
yeah.
yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what the Devil Below is. We want to we like to have fun with it, but then there's also our serious, more in-depth, emotional type songs, like Skin Deep or Alone in the Dark. If you were to listen to those two songs, they're like emotionally impacting and they're deep.
Oh
Like, I
yeah, and
mean,
these
I
are all
I
out on Spotify and YouTube as well.
Alone in the Dark is going to be on the new album on October 7th, but yes, it will be on all the platforms, all the streaming platforms. Skin Deep is on all the platforms currently. That was off of our first album,
Hell yeah.
Gravity. So, but yeah, like if you listen to those two at least, that you can tell. I mean, just listening to them, you're like, wow, that he dug deep, you
Could you
know.
tell like kind of what the stories are of those songs?
Yeah, so Skin Deep was a song I wrote about 3 or 4 years ago. I was in a really dark place in my life. I kind of just shied away from society for a while, and I just felt so out of place, I was lost, mentally, emotionally, physically. I just wasn't comfortable with society or myself or the friends I was hanging out with, and I just found myself feeling like I was just in a bottom of a barrel somewhere and nobody cared, and just like nobody, like if I went missing, nobody would even know I was gone type feeling. And that's pretty much kind of how that song came about. Alone in the Dark is on a pretty similar basis. It's kind of more just feeling lost and alone by yourself in a world that seems to be moving on without you type feeling. So
Oh yeah, that's so
yeah.
fucking cool. That's so deep too. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's hard for me to like listen to those ones because they're good songs and I love listening to them, but usually like if I can't even sing along with the song all the way through, because I just start getting too emotional because it hits me especially like really deep, you
Yeah.
know.
Remember, I haven't. We have a few songs. Most of our songs are, as we obviously talked about, is mental health talk, topics or stuff like that, or topics along like suicide and shit like that. But there was
Hmm.
our first show. I remember there was one song we had that's like we typically play some pretty like heavy, hard hitting, slammy, punch you in the face kind of songs. But
Yeah.
we'll go from that, but then like mid set we'll pull out some stupid fucking slow song that's like trippy as all hell, but like the lyrics are insanely depressing. But
Hmm.
like I remember our first show, and I was just I was sitting, we're halfway through the song, and I'm like out of nowhere, just I could feel it just coming out, and I'm like I'm about to start bawling, and I can't stop this. Fuck, this song needs to end like now. Shit. So I'm
Yeah.
like I start walking towards the back of the stage. I'm like, all right, let's see if I can play this off, trying to like sing together, but like, stop my voice from cracking. And I'm like, all right, we'll get through this. Fuck.
Yeah, no, it's hard when you get to those type of songs because they hit people differently,
Yeah.
and
And
and, and
that's
and
definitely what
especially to those that can relate.
exactly. That's where I feel good music comes from when it just the sound. Either it doesn't have to be a word spoken yet. It could be the tone of the guitar
Hmm.
or the tone of any instrument that's used in the song, and that if it's able to just pull that emotion out of you so like quickly like that, where it grabs you and just chokes you, and it's that right there
Hmm.
is where you know you that something right there is there. And those are
Yep.
the moments I always kind of look for at live shows, because live shows are always my favorite place to be, because I always get the people always ask me a lot of times, like when like the bands we play with, like do you guys like check out the bands beforehand? I'm like, I don't. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I always like to hear the bands live and in person before I listen to anything they've done in the studio, because that being in the studio or in a studio sound is always, to me, is always going to be completely different and a completely different feel than seeing them actually express the emotions of those songs like we're talking about, and just and feeling that
Yeah.
raw power and emotion. That's my
Yeah.
favorite times at live shows.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. That's and if you I kind of feel like a lot of times nowadays, especially nowadays, like with auto tune and everything, I'm guilty of it too. I use auto tune every now and then on certain songs, but
Hey,
like
man, there's nothing wrong with
with
Melodyne.
yeah, no, there's not. And like with that kind of technology though, I feel like a lot of bands could be altered to a point where they sound amazing in the studio, but then you hear them live and it's like, oh, they don't sound nothing like
Yep.
that, you know.
Yep,
So
we've had plenty of times where we've seen that exact thing happen too, where well, I go back and like, wow, this band was not so good at the show, and I go to check them out back afterwards on Spotify, and I'm like, well, damn, their fucking producer's phenomenal.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah. But yeah, it's just been a really productive year. This last year and a half, like I said, we've got 2 albums done. We got a third one on the way. We got 2 shows coming up
Hell yeah.
before I move. They're both in October. We're playing a dark arts festival here in Utah in Salt Lake on the 4th, and that's at Area 51.
Fuck
And
yeah.
then we're also opening for an industrial rock band called Pig on Sunday, October 6th at Quarters.
Fuck yeah. Hell
So,
yeah.
yep,
So
it's going to
tell
be
me
a
about
busy weekend.
I bet, dude. I it's so you said you had 2 shows in that weekend?
2 shows that weekend, and right after the second show is the next day I'm moving.
Oh my
So,
gosh. Ah,
yeah,
that's the worst. Our first year of doing shows, I was trying to go to school at the time still, and so I would my school was 4 hours south to any of the shows we were playing, because they're all up towards like the Cleveland area. And so
yeah.
I'd have to drive 4 hours every weekend on Friday back up to Cleveland, and like we'd have those shows where it's like a 2 weekend bill, and we're like, all right, well, got this show here in Cleveland, and we're going to Akron on Sunday, and I got another 4.5 hour drive back home, and oh my dude, I did not go to class that entire week. I was so dead.
Oh, I
Oh my
bet.
God,
I
those
bet.
it is the most draining weekends of your life.
Yeah, yeah. I remember being on tour. That was fun. We did a
Oh, that must
couple
have
of
been
like mini
insane. Hell
tours.
yeah. Hell yeah.
Mini tours, yeah, mini tours are fun, especially if they're just in the surrounding states, or like where you can just travel there in like 3 days and do 3 shows type thing and then come back home.
Yeah, hell
But
yeah.
there was a couple times my old band went on mini tours, and we did like an Arizona, Vegas, Utah. It was like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and those were long 3 days, because if we weren't driving, we were trying to sleep. And I remember those rough days.
Cramped in a small van or car, and just
Yep.
oh yeah, it's uh
Yeah.
Remind
Yep.
it takes me back
Exactly.
to the army days, back when I was in the army, and we would be on these massive long convoys. There was one time we had to do a convoy for 48 hours straight, and
Mhm.
I was stuck driving the entire 48 fucking hours, and we're
Oh my
cramped
gosh.
up in this tiny Humvee with fucking plastic doors that bend out, so you're kind of comfy but not comfy, because all those crossbars are ramming in your leg, and you got all this fucking gear crapped into you, and you're just like, when is this gonna be over? I haven't moved my leg longer, more than a 45-degree angle in 2 days. I'm going to die.
Hmm.
And it would
Yeah,
just
and
be the worst.
that's what we'll be doing, because the day we move, because my brother lives with me and he's moving with me, and we're driving to Nebraska, so it's like 10 or 11 hours. So
Oh. Well,
yeah.
hopefully going to Nebraska, there should be some good scenery and good driving though.
Yeah. I mean, the scenery, not so much. It's mostly just hills or
Mm.
flat land,
Gotcha.
but the weather should be nice though.
That's good.
So
That's good.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been the weather's been so I mean it's Ohio, so the weather's always fucking crazy, but we had a week of 90-degree every day, then to a week of 60s to low like high 50s, and then we're back this
Hmm.
weekend to like mid 70s and 80s. And I'm like, can we just like pick 60s, like mid 60s and just stay there?
Hmm. Yep. That's how Utah's been a lot lately. It's either really hot in the 90s or hundreds, or it drops all the way down to like 50s or 60s, and I'm like, good Lord, make up your mind.
Well, yeah, it's like a bunch of like canyon space too there, so you have all the mountains surrounding you.
Yeah.
So you probably got a bunch of like wind gusts too that come through.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
that's gotta be horrible.
Yeah, especially when I'm at work.
What do you do for work?
So I work at a Jiffy Lube
Oh,
here,
hell yeah.
up here in Ogden. So yeah, and when the bay doors are open, the wind just comes blowing through the
Blasting
shop
through.
and like
Yep.
blows tools and papers and yeah, all sorts of crap
I
everywhere.
used to
So
work as a porter for our Chevy service dealership, and
okay.
the way their shop was set up was it was like kind of like a T shape. So you had like the incoming cars would come in this one section. It would be one long like bay door, kind of like bay. And then you'd have the other main bay with all the mechanics in. So anytime wind came through, you'd have this like cross breeze here. Then you'd get fucking
Hmm.
smacked up the face, up the front. You're just like, can I go home?
Yep. Yep. And it sucks when you have long hair too, because like
Yep.
then your hair gets blown in your
In your
face
face, you're
and
trying to talk to people, and your hair's gonna fall in your
yeah.
mouth. Yep.
Yep. Exactly.
For
But
me,
I
it's
gotta
the
have the long
worst on.
hair.
Yeah, exactly. No, for me, it's the worst on stage because I flail around when I'm up there. And like this last show we had this past Tuesday, there was one point where I had to like take a good couple seconds to stop talking because I'm just like, all right, let me just take these
Yeah.
handfuls of hair out of my mouth real quick. All right, now I can speak clearly. How are you
Yeah,
guys
like
doing
okay.
tonight?
Yeah. Now, all right, I'm back.
Now I can see you.
Yep. Yep. And see, and I'm the kind of like performer on stage where I headbang a lot. And so like my hair is just constantly like moving and stuff, or I'll be jumping off of vamps or jumping off stuff
Hell yeah,
and
that's awesome.
yeah, I like to get wild on stage.
Oh,
So
same. I try to. So I always kind of get really like I always do kind of get a little messed up before shows, not in the sense of like drinking messed up, but I smoke a shit ton before shows.
yeah.
And so I'll get on stage and it'll be like kind of like I always look like I'm a hippie when it comes to like a real solo-y shit or like slow. I'm just like woo and just all like. And
Yeah.
then as soon as something heavy comes out, I'm like, all right, that's time to go fucking crazy and start
Yeah.
headbutting.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. But,
So tell me about you. I want to what got you started in music? Was this like back when you were a kid or something came in like a little later in life?
yeah, so when I was really young, so this was probably like, 40 years ago, when I was like 2, I listened to a lot of Kiss and like Quiet Riot,
I
Motley
found that
Crue.
recently a lot that a lot of people started out with Kiss. The last couple
Yeah.
podcast episodes I had, the first couple bands they would mention is Kiss being one of them.
Yep. And growing, yeah, and seeing them and like their music videos, listening to their music back then. I mean, as a kid, 2, 3-year-old kid, I'm like, this is amazing, like, and I was, wearing my mom's cowboy boots and putting my hair up like Gene Simmons and playing a
Yep.
tennis racket like a guitar. And ever since then, ever since then, I was like, I want to do something with music at some point in my life. And I got a guitar for Christmas when I was probably 15. I got my first acoustic guitar for Christmas, and I started learning how to play a lot of the bands at that time, which was like Creed, Pearl Jam,
Hell
Korn,
yeah.
Disturbed, a lot of the 90s alternative.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Love Pearl
I got
Jam.
to, yeah, exactly. I got to play a lot of their music, like along with the CD, just playing in the background. And once I figured out how to play guitar a little bit, I got a little better. That's when I was like, okay, I want to start like trying to play little acoustic shows here and there throughout, Utah County. So I started playing some acoustic sets here and there, and then everyone was like, man, you should really like get a band together because you're pretty good. And I booked my very first big show with a touring band called Kill Hannah, who's from Chicago. And I was like, oh man, if I'm playing a big show like this, I got to have a full band. And so in like 3 months, I found a bassist and a drummer, and I played the guitar and was the
Damn, that's
lead
pretty
vocalist.
fucking quick to find a bassist.
a bassist, a drummer, and yeah, and we learned all the songs for the set, and we played that show as a full band,
Fuck yeah,
and ever
that's
since
badass as
then,
fuck.
just yeah, it took off, and then Angel Felt was like, finally a thing. We opened for Hailstorm, we opened for Red,
Fuck yeah,
Adelita's Way. We played
hell
Vans
yeah.
Warped Tour in 2009.
Warped Tour is coming back this year, dude. I can't fucking
That's what I
wait.
heard.
Yeah, I
That's what I
can't fucking
heard. I
wait.
was
It pissed me off though, because the last Warped Tour there was the year I shipped out to Basic. So the day that they were in Ohio was the weekend. It was the weekend after I shipped out to Basic, so I couldn't go. And I was like, that was the only time it was the only chance I had, and I fucking ran. I lost it. So I'm like, I'm so happy it's back this year. I cannot wait. I don't care
oh,
who's
I can't wait.
playing. I don't care who's
Yeah.
playing, just for the fact to be at Warped Tour, even though it's
Yeah.
not OG Warped Tour. I'm fucking gone.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I hope they get a good lineup for
Yeah,
sure. They
I
usually
think they
do.
will. Yeah, I think they will.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
So, but yeah, like my music roots started when I was really young. So,
So did you
back in the
always?
80s music.
Hell yeah! Did you always want to be like a frontman vocalist, or was guitar kind of where you thought you were going to be?
Um, I honestly I didn't really feel like doing being the front man. I mainly just wanted to be a guitarist, but at the time I was writing all these songs and we just couldn't find a singer to sing them, and I was like, well, I mean, I could try, I guess. And then people heard me sing and they're like, "Oh yeah, you definitely need to be behind a mic." And
Fuck
so
yeah!
I just kind of got stuck in it.
So are you still
So,
playing guitar, or is it just vocals now?
yeah. Yeah, actually, my guitar is over here in the corner.
Fuck yeah! What
It's
kind of guitar? What kind my bad. What kind of guitar is that?
it's a new one. I just bought it. It's a Glary, Glary. I don't know how you pronounce that.
I know Glaris.
It's
Hell
just
yeah!
one. Yeah, it's just one I found online. So it was just a cheap one just to kind of get me getting back into it again.
Yeah,
But
good practice guitar. Good. Yeah. Hell
yeah,
yeah.
I had an Epiphone before. So
Who would you typically look up to back when you were first starting to play guitar as like kind of your big influences?
so Mark Tremonti was definitely one of them, of the Creed guitarist. He's an amazing, phenomenal guitar player. Um, let's see. Gosh, I like Johnny Resnick of the Goo Goo Dolls. I really
Hell yeah.
like his lyric writing and his guitar playing from the Goo Goo Dolls. Um, I mean, the guitar players for Korn. I mean, if I wanted to go like really heavy or play something really heavy, but I mean, yeah, there was so many guitar players. Oh, James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett, from Metallica. I was playing a lot of them back then. So I had a lot of influences for sure from a lot of different genres and eras, but and then of course, Paul Stanley and Ace Frehley from Kiss. And I mean, yeah, there was so many different styles, and I just kind of picked and or chose a little bit of each one of them and
Hell
made
yeah.
my own sound.
Oh yeah, and then for Devils Below, then do you kind of are these the same kind of people you're looking at for inspirations for these songs, or is it like a different set of people?
No, for The Devil Below, it's kind of more modern, like to today's music. It's kind of more like Falling in Reverse, I See Stars, Bless the Fall. Um, kind of like in that. The Browning is another one I absolutely love. Like,
Hell yeah,
as far as inspiration goes, I mean, we don't sound nothing like the Browning, um, for inspiration, I usually listen to like one of those artists, and I'll, just the way they put music together and compose it. I'm just like, man, that's so cool. I want to be able to do that same thing, and The Devil Below is kind of basically like my version of all of those inspirations coming together,
hell
and
yeah,
like that's what comes out is what you hear on the albums.
hell yeah. So what else outside of music? What other hobbies do you have?
So I draw portraits when I have
Hell
free
yeah,
time. I could show you my Billie Eilish. I drew a really good Billie
yeah, hell
Eilish
yeah. I'd
the
love
other
to see
day.
it.
Yeah, let me grab that. It looks really good. Let's see. Ugh, okay. So, all right. So there's the picture of her,
Okay, hell yeah.
and then here's my drawing.
Oh, damn. Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I got them side by side.
That's fucking sweet.
Yeah.
Dude, that's really good. Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, so I do drawings. I obviously make music. I like working on cars. I mean, obviously that's what I do for a living. Um, but I've been doing it for so long now, which is another reason why I'm moving. I just need to get away from the auto stuff. But I love working on my car. I drive a Mercedes
Really?
Benz.
I always hear it's the
So
opposite way. You always love working on other people's car, never your own.
yeah, oh, I love working on my own. I would much rather if I could make money working on my car all day, that would be a dream job for me.
Right?
But but yeah, no, I enjoy like going to movies, concerts. I
Hell yeah.
actually just went and saw Falling in Reverse like 2 or 3 weeks ago. They were here. And I got to see them with Black Veil Brides, Tech Nine, and Dance Gavin Dance.
Fuck yeah.
So that was really cool.
Tech Nine, I feel
But
like
yeah,
would be insane to fucking see. Yeah, Tech Nine was like one of like the first rappers I started listening to back when I was like a kid. And I always remember I
oh,
remember listening to like
yeah, he's amazing.
Dysfunctional 101 was like one of my favorite songs of his.
Yeah,
And from what I've
he's
seen with
amazing.
him, yeah, from what I've seen from him with Falling in Reverse, it's just been insane.
Yeah, that song Ronald, that I had that on repeat in my car for like a month straight.
Hell
Like that's
yeah.
like all I would listen to. I was like, man, this song is so epic. And there's a song actually on our new album. It's called Stab Me in the Back, and it's almost like our version of Ronald. So there's like our part at the beginning, and then there's like a rap part in the middle, and then it ends with like this heavy, screamy
Fuck
breakdown,
yeah.
like guitar riff,
Fuck
like
yeah.
ending. So yeah, so that's gonna be like a really good song to play live, especially at these shows coming up. So, but yeah, it's kind of like our version of Ronald, I guess.
That's
So
fucking sweet. Hell yeah. So tell me more about the album coming up. You said it's coming out on October 7th, you said?
October 7th, yeah, the album is called Stab Me in the Back, which is the title track of that album. And then we've got Alone in the Dark, which is the ballad on there. There's gonna be like 6 or 7 songs on it. And then
Hell yeah.
it's a mixture of, there's like 2 instrumentals that Tyrell made. And he's an awesome producer as far as making beats and stuff. He's phenomenal.
Hell yeah.
There's 2 instrumentals. You've got some heavy songs on there like Stab Me in the Back. You've got the ballad. You've got some, oh, we did this one song with the singer of a band from like the UK, I think.
Oh, fuck
I think
yeah.
that's where they're from. Yeah, and he does excellent screaming on the chorus, and I was like, man, this song is going to be epic. And it's like really dubstep-ish, but I do like the singing parts, and then he does the screaming, so it's like a mix of dubstep screamo, I guess. I don't, yeah,
Hell
but
yeah.
it's really cool. That one's called um uh the Black Abyss Taking My Life, and that's a good one too.
Oh, that's a dope ass
um
fucking name.
yeah, it's actually going to be pretty cool. But yeah, oh, and the other thing that I just recently started doing, on going back to my hobbies, is I actually just started acting.
Ooh, hell
So
yeah.
yeah, so there was a director here in Utah. He was filming a zombie movie here, and he asked if I wanted to do a song for the soundtrack for his movie, and I was like, "Oh, absolutely, we'd love to." And that song, actually, speaking of new music, that one comes out. We're releasing that as just a single by itself, and that one comes out November 4th. It's called "Run and Hide."
Ooh, hell yeah.
And but I was he asked if I then wanted to be a zombie. No, you're good.
All right, here we go.
All right. So yeah, so the director asked if I wanted to be a zombie in the movie itself. And I was like, heck yeah, I've always wanted to be, in a movie, let alone a zombie movie,
Yeah, that'd
because
be
I love
badass as
zombie
fuck.
movies.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
badass as fuck.
So when I got asked to do that, I was like, heck yeah. So we went about a month ago, filmed my zombie part, my zombie scene, and then we did the song for the soundtrack. And he liked me so much as an actor, I guess, playing a zombie, that he was like, well, I do have some upcoming projects that I might need an actor for. Is this something you want to do more of? And I was like, Yeah, absolutely. And so I think he's going to keep me in mind for some of his upcoming projects too.
Hell yeah. So have you always
So,
been into acting or done it before, or is this something that just kind of like happenstance? You found out you loved it and want to keep doing it, kind of thing?
it kind of just when he asked, like I'd never acted before, so when he asked, I was like, yeah, I'll give it a try. I mean, how often does, is this opportunity ever going to come back up again?
Hell yeah.
And I did. I loved it. It was so much fun. I loved getting all zombified out and everything, and just yeah, I absolutely loved it. Had a good time. Met some cool people,
Hell yeah.
and
Is that movie out now yet, or is it coming out?
they're finishing up the filming of it now. I think I think yesterday actually, I think they finished the last scene for it, and then they're going to start editing everything and putting it all together. And then I believe, from what I remember, they said that they were going to try to get it on like Netflix
Oh,
and or
fuck
like a
yeah.
streaming platform. So yeah,
Hell yeah.
so that'll be pretty cool.
Do you know a time frame of when they're planning to have it released at?
Oh, I don't. I mean, I could probably find out and definitely let you
Yeah,
know
you'll
for
you'll
sure.
definitely have to keep me posted on that. I would love to see it. Hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was so much fun though. I enjoyed it. It was a
Oh,
great
that's
time.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I always there was this one thing I remember seeing on like Facebook one day. It was like one of those like oh, sign up here and we can help you become like extras in movies, or help you get booked
Yeah.
on support roles or shit like that. So I signed up for
Mhm.
it, trying to it was back when they were starting the filming for Deadpool and Wolverine. I was trying to get on that when they were doing the Cleveland scenes, and I was like, oh, that'd be fucking cool as fuck to get it be an extra in fucking Deadpool or
Heck,
Wolverine. Or I think actually no, I think it
heck
was
yeah.
I don't think it was that. I think it was Blade. So even still, I was like,
Okay.
extra in Blade? Fuck yes. That'd be
That
so
would be
fun.
awesome.
Just to
That would
even
be
be like
so cool.
standing in the background and be like, oh, you can't see me or recognize, but I'm right the fuck there. That vaccine. That'd be so fucking cool.
Yeah, I'm that blurry dot back there. No.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then I think that kind of also inspired me to want to do the movie for my book too.
Hell yeah.
I had so much fun doing the acting side of it, and I was like, man, this is a lot of fun. Like I
Now is it the same producer that's doing
No,
the
it's a different director. It's actually the director who just did our music video
hell yeah.
for a song called "Survive the Night," because he does his own like YouTube series, Big Brother. Like
Oh
it's like
hell
a
yeah.
Utah version of Big Brother,
That's so
and
cool.
it's on YouTube, and he's done like I can't even remember how many seasons of it now, but I was like, man, I was like, I have this really cool idea. I just had this zombie acting, project I was just a part of. I was like, would you want to do a movie for, and it'd be for my book that I wrote? And he was like, oh, I am so down. I am so down to do that. So
Hell
we
yeah.
planned it. We planned it so far in advance that it'll give me time to save up money for like a budget for the film. And so we're gonna start filming in the summer of 2026.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, so I'm gonna be coming back to Utah for like a month or two to film the movie,
So
and
have you already
then
been working on like the adaptation of like the books kind of like storyline to make like a script out of it?
I've been working on it like
How
since we talked and agreed. I've been kind of slowly like working on it here and there
hell
during
yeah.
some free time.
How's that been?
It's been interesting, I'll say that, because going from the novel, because in a novel you can just write what a character does, but when you're adapting it to a movie, it's like, okay, is that even going to be possible in a movie like a low budget movie, like like are we going to be able to get somebody to walk along a wall or upside down? Or I mean, you can, of course you can like flip the camera and make it look like it's upside down, but it's just like, is that something that we're going to be able to like accomplish, like on a lot on a screen as
I feel
opposed to
like
just
that
someone reading it in the book?
I feel like that a lot is a lot of it when it comes to, like the independent movies, or just maybe just filmmaking in general. I feel like that could be a lot of what the fun of it is trying to figure out like this crazy idea that we have. All right, let's figure out how the fuck we can make this possible, make this work. That sounds so much fucking fun.
Yeah,
Have you been
yeah.
kind of like workshopping like mental workshopping like ideas of how to like these crazy scenes like with the pills and like take it for like the wall walking? Have you been like mental workshopping those ideas?
Yeah, so I've already got some ideas in mind for how we could do it. I just don't know how much it's going to cost to do it. So I'm going to have to like dig deeper into like the budget and figure out how much money I'm going to need for like all these scenes. And because there's a lot of really cool weaponry, like I said, that comes with this. There's the time traveling scenes we'll have to probably use some special effects for. And just, I mean, there's like robots, and the world itself, the whole country itself is more technologically advanced than where we are now. So we've got to come up and create like a whole like city,
So,
or
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
cities, and it's gonna be a challenge, but it'll be a fun
Oh, yeah.
challenge,
So what are some of the ideas you've been kind of like workshopping and to try to get these crazy sci-fi stuff to become real?
So I've come to the conclusion I'm probably either gonna have to make a lot of the weapons myself just to get the look right, because there's some of the weapons are described, and I mean, I even drew a picture of one of them, and I'm like, there is no weapon like this, like now, like I'm gonna have to like make it, and so it's visually, you know, appealing to the eyes and to the readers who have read the book, and now they can compare and be like, oh, that's exactly what I envisioned it. And so I'm probably gonna have to end up making a lot of the weapons. As far as like the gravity stuff, we're probably gonna have to like get some high wire type equipment, or like a crane type thing where we can harness an actress or an actor,
Yeah,
to like be able to do
that'd be
that.
so fucking cool. Hell
Just
yeah,
stuff like that.
that's so cool.
Yeah, there's a part in the book where the lead actress, she's driving a car, and she gets out and stands on the hood of the car while it's like on a highway, and she jumps off of the hood of the car onto the back of another car. And I just keep thinking like, oh my gosh, how are we gonna like do that scene independent, like on an independent low budget film? How are we going to make this happen? And I mean,
A
of course,
really
green screen.
sketchy, really fucking crazy stunt double.
Yeah, and that's, yeah, I'm thinking, okay, either a stunt double who's crazy enough to do it, or some CGI, or I don't even know. We're gonna have to talk and come up with some really cool stuff. But
Oh, that's so
I, I
cool.
I know it'll be a lot of fun, and like I said, I'm hoping I can get it. I want to like submit it to like film festivals, or like Netflix or Hulu or whatever as well. But I'm hoping it looks good enough to where it'll be at least accepted into some festivals.
Yeah, hell yeah. That'd be so fucking
So
cool.
yeah, have that on my resume too. Artist, singer, guitar player, like
Dude, I
author.
actually no, I've been
Now,
looking. I've been looking for a job recently, and I'm not gonna lie. I put the podcast host, I put the front man of the band in my resume because it's you'd be surprised if you can rearrange how you word some certain shit. So I put like data analysis, marketing data analysis, consumer data analysis, a bunch of other crazy like random terms that have like, make no sense to but like somehow fit into being a front man and a podcast host.
yep. Yeah, you could put, public promoter or marketer,
Yeah, public
like
marketing. Yeah.
social design, social media marketing
Yep.
designer or something. Like, I mean, there's all sorts of ways you could say the same thing
Yeah,
and make it sound,
and it's an and it's true though because like I mean I don't know how much obviously we can't speak on what it was for the scene back in the days, but like for us like bands nowadays that are coming up, as much as I have a love for social media and the use of it, I hate
Mhm.
it.
Oh,
I hate having to be like constantly trying to figure out what content what silly video we making this week, guys, and just trying to think of
mhm.
it and I wish we could still just kind of be like in the days of where it was just handing out posters on the side of a
Yeah,
corner of the
handing out
street.
flyers.
Which we
Yep.
still do, yeah. Don't get me wrong. We still do those things. I
Yeah.
love collecting posters. The actual like in-house studio of the podcast is completely surrounded by like show posters, bands, different like their own personal posters and shit like that. And so
Yeah.
I love that kind of shit. I still do believe there's a lot of use in the old kind of tactics that can be used still to these days. But it I don't know how your kind of thoughts on it maybe are, but for me, dude,
Yeah.
I hate having to kind of just like constantly worry about social media and like making sure social media engagement. 'Cause, like I just want to focus on the music. That's really all I want to
Yeah.
focus on.
Yeah. The 100%, yeah, like acceptable, and I agree with that 100%. It felt easier back in the day. Now it's like you've got to try to trick the algorithm of, online social media, and it's like you
Yep.
got to figure out what works and what doesn't. It's like, why can't
You
I
don't.
just send a text to everybody?
Yeah, yeah.
you
If you don't
know?
if you don't caption your video the right way, you get no visual, no engagement to it. If you're yeah, it's so much to it,
Yeah.
and there's no one to teach it. And like yeah,
Yeah.
you can ask your buddies, just see what other people are doing. That's typically what I try to do is just see what other people are doing and kind of like make our own version of those kind of things. But
Yeah.
even then, I still don't. I have no clue what the fuck. I'm just trying shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's all we do. We just hashtag try a bunch of different new stuff that's, seems to be working for other people. And
What's got the highest number of trending or amount of posts on Facebook and social media for the
yep.
hashtags? Yep.
Yep. That's all we do as well. Because I'm kind of clueless when it comes to like trying to figure out algorithms and stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I guess like now the election might be a big topic net for like right now, maybe.
I've
But
tried to like follow those things and like try to like keep up with like what a lot of like the big uh the guys that I would guess you could say like are the people that are like good at social media, I guess you could call it. I try to like follow those
yeah,
things, but I found like when I like especially like when I first started like the podcast and like trying to add that all on, and you probably know with that with like having the all these different projects that with the music stuff, like it gets hectic as hell, and you kind of like get lost in your own
yeah,
kind of your own sauce, and you're just like, where was I? What do I need to? What? I know there's so much I need to do, but what the fuck was I supposed to be doing at this moment? And so I
yeah,
found I was trying
yep,
to keep it to like those like strict schedules, trying to like stick with what's current in like public's what people are talking about. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna stop trying like for this is what I've done for myself, and I found it's helped me a lot, at least for like my mental health wise. 'Cause I've noticed that like the more I try to like really harp on like or like focus on those things and try to do those like hardcore push on social media and stuff like that, I found that it does like kind of really drain my mental health.
yeah, it can be. And then and also it could be disappointing too, like when it doesn't work,
Yeah, you
or
have
you
like
think
you're
you're
really excited
hoping.
for like a video, and you're like, yeah, I
Yeah.
really this is gonna do great, and you're just like, well, that got 5 views.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, that's been on there for 5 months since it has 2 clicks, you know. But yeah, yeah, exactly. And then you just get disappointed, and then you're like, well, why didn't that work? And then you try to figure it out, and and you're like back to square one,
Yep,
and you're just like,
exactly. And you're
ah,
just like, and then yeah, and for me, I found a lot of times where I'd get so overwhelmed and frustrated at that kind of stuff that I wouldn't want to post anything. And then I'm sitting there, now I'm mad at myself. I'm like, well, I haven't posted in like 2 weeks. I'm like, well, fuck, what are you doing, dumbass? Get back on fucking social media. And I'm like harping myself to
yep,
get back on. So I've what I've been trying to do lately is just kind of like whenever I can get to it and get it done and out is when it gets out. However it
yeah,
does is however it does. I'm not gonna care. I'm just gonna the one thing I've kind of noticed or not noticed in a sense a new philosophy to try to help my own like mental health kind of be better. It was just
hmm,
kind of like I'll get there when I get there. What's the race?
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Why
yep,
why put that pressure on myself to like, oh, I gotta have this out by this day and this day. I'm like, no, because if I'm doing if whatever I'm doing or whatever it is that you're working on is like if it's meant to be anything, do anything, it'll do it.
yep,
You know what I mean?
and,
And
and
there's
and it'll work.
yeah, exactly. So I was like,
Mhm.
why keep putting this constant pressure and just like forcing my brain to just be like, blah. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep, I do. It's exactly what I go through. There's times where I just have to like disappear from social media like altogether, like for moments of, days at a time. And then I'll go back in and check and I've got like 50 messages, like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, now I got to go through each one of these. And, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that was
no,
how it was for me when I went when I did the like couple of big posts to try to get like the people that get booked for this, and I was like, this was not the response I expected. Now I have like 20 messages from 20 people from 20 different states and countries. I'm like, who have I not talked to yet? Who have I missed in comments? Who I'm like, fuck. So I'm like,
yeah,
it took me probably 6 months this year of just this year of just trying to go back through all the different posts, different like places I shared it at because I missed different comments and everything. I'm like slowly working through. So it's been insane with that stuff, and I've been trying to like yeah that's caused me like you're saying like having to like kind of just like I'm gonna take a step back.
you're like, let me just restart.
Yep.
Just restart.
Yep.
Yep. No, I get it. I get it. I'm right there with you. But yeah, no, I mean, I've been told like I should do, like a podcast, myself even, and I'm like, I don't know if I have one the energy or time to commit to it, but but then I mean, with all the other stuff I got going on, like I just don't know if I have time to try to cram that in there too. And then too, like when I wouldn't have time to do it or be able to do it, I'd feel disappointed and let down and be like, oh, I was supposed to do that podcast today, and all I was able to do was, act in this movie or something. And I mean, granted, that would be getting a cool accomplishment, but I'd feel like I'm behind on every
Yeah,
day, you know?
you're beating yourself up. You're not behind on people's kind of timeline or whatever. You're behind on your own, and it hurts. Yeah, I completely know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That is me on like a daily. I'm like, all right, I have this. I'm like, all right, what can I get to today? And I'm like, all right, well, I didn't get to this. I'm like, fuck, I really wanted to get to that.
Yeah, exactly. But I figured maybe once my movie is all done, and maybe if we take a break from the music, maybe then I could do a podcast or something, or a YouTube channel type thing or something.
Yeah,
But or
this year
maybe I could do
definitely
more acting.
yeah, with this year for us, definitely helped me with we took a big break back from doing a lot of shows and just kind of like trying to focus on recording. So that allowed me to have this kind of time to really start doing the podcast. And the way I look at it with like you'll probably kind of like I don't know if you've maybe I had this thought yourself or you might like this kind of thought because you do a lot of projects yourself. I've always tried
Mhm.
to look at them like anything I do outside of the band is an extension of the band or
Yeah,
anything I do
absolutely.
myself is an extension of me. And you know what I'm saying? So like the
Yep.
podcast, like
Yep.
I don't care what the numbers are, no matter what, it's an extension of the band. Somehow, some way, someone's gonna find if they find this first, everything I do with the podcast has some kind of eventual callback or mention with the band. So it's gonna
Yep.
hopefully get that trail back to there. So I always anything like with the podcast so even if you don't do like a podcast like your books and stuff like that, I would have those on your band's merch table and shit like that.
Oh yeah, and it will be, and it
Oh hell
definitely
yeah.
will be. My
Hell yeah.
book, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. My book will be available through all of my band's website, like merch websites, and then vice versa.
Yeah,
Like on the
exactly. Yep.
book websites, you'll be able to go get the band merch as
Yep,
well.
exactly. Yeah. So
So,
all the podcast websites that you can find all the Spotify for not only the podcast Spotify bullshit, but you can also find the bands. Yeah,
mhm.
exactly. You're saying vice versa. I think that is I think for people like us if we're not too social media savvy or we just don't really like the kind of atmosphere of what it is to kind of really be a social media content creator. I feel like that is definitely helps kind of like create those other avenues of reach and allow you to
Yep.
still have those creative freedoms and relaxity to keep it fun and creative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I like to, I mean, I don't know if this is like the proper term to call it, but I call it cross promotion,
Yeah.
cross promoting. Yeah,
Yeah. Hell
that's
yeah.
basically what it is. You're promoting one to, and it's, hopefully it promotes the other as
Yeah.
well. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Hell yeah.
exactly. So, yeah.
So what has been your craziest show you've been to, or played or been to, or any of the
Oh
order?
man. Okay. So I would have to say I would have to say my absolute favorite show I got to play was Vans Warp Tour. We opened for In This Moment, uh, Versa Emerge, Eyes Set to Kill, Medina Lake, Get Scared, and Aiden. Though, like when we got to open on the same stage, we got to open
Fuck
for those
yeah, that's
bands,
that's
and
awesome as fuck.
to see just thousands of people, like thousands of, I mean, it's crazy when you can pack like 200 or 300 in a venue, but when it's outdoors and you just see a sea of 1,000, thousands of people, it's like that was a whole nother level of just like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah,
but the Hailstorm show was definitely probably my second favorite. We packed, it was like, I think it was like a 850 or 900 capacity venue, and it's sold out. And that was a intense show. Like that was,
fuck
I
yeah,
mean, it was just wall to wall, elbow to
chaos.
elbow people. It was
Hell yeah,
crazy. But that
that's
was cool. I,
awesome.
I got to meet Red. They were super cool dudes. I actually got to hang out with Adelita's Way for a little while. Like before the show, we got to like hang out with them in the lobby and we chatted it up and everything. And they're super cool dudes as well. But I'd have to say Vans Warp Tour probably tops all of those other ones, because when you
Hell
just
yeah.
see so many eyes on you, like that was just I mean, there was no other feeling like that. I'm usually seeing. I'm a like. I actually get excited, before I go on stage. It's like that. You get the nerves, of course, but like once I'm up there and I've got the mic, it's like all my fears and all that
Gone.
nervousness just
Yep,
goes
it's
away.
gone. Yep.
Yeah, and I usually can control the nerves before a show, but when I saw how many people were at Warped Tour, I looked out like from behind the backdrop. I looked out from behind there and I was like, "Oh my God." Like I was like, "That's a lot of freaking people."
Oh, that would have freaked me the fuck out. I think the biggest I've played for would have been about fuck how much we had. So our biggest show we played was this festival. It's local to us called Summit Fest. And the year we
Oh
played, I
yeah,
think
yeah.
they had. Okay, hell yeah. So they the year we played was last year's, and we I think they had around 3,000 tickets sold. But
Okay.
in actual attendance when we played our set, I'd say maybe mid 400s. I'd say I think it was nothing like super crazy, but that was the biggest for us, and that itself was just like holy fuck, because it was not only it
Yeah.
was just like it was the size of the crowd, it was our first festival, and it was the spot in the set that we were playing at because we were playing direct support to all the headliners, and
Hmm.
so we're just
Yep.
like, what the fuck
Yep.
is going on? Bro Job's playing right after us. A Skylet Drive's fucking here. Like holy fuck! It was a surreal moment, and I probably what you're talking about, like it was just like I stepped out on the stage and I'm just like, fuck. All
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
fuck.
You're like, well, it's go time.
Yep. That's
But
and I
yeah.
messed up. I had the worst fumble with words that day. It was so bad. We played a cover of Black you heard of the band Black Flag?
Yeah.
So imagine trying to say that band's name with Cottonmouth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
I was like, yeah, who here is fans of Black Flag but didn't say flag? And
Oh,
my fiance is our photographer and she's just like, you did not just say that. And I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna keep talking. So you guys did not just hear that. That definitely did not just fucking happen.
you're like, no, no, I don't need no backlash, please. No.
I was like, I definitely did not mean to fucking say that. I am so fucking sorry. You could see the petrification on my face when that happened. I was just like, oh fuck.
Yeah. No,
We always
I get that.
we always make the joke that thankfully Bro Job played after us, otherwise we would have been canceled because Bro Job came out and started their set with "We're here to fuck your dad and come in your ass." And I'm like, oh, we're safe, we're good, we're
Oh, there
fine,
you go.
we're fine, we're
Hey,
fine.
hey, we're good. We're good now. Yeah, exactly. We're good.
It was
It all made
so bad. You ever
Yeah.
had any crazy kind of stumbles like that on stage?
Yes, I get that a lot actually. When because I think what happens well, for me at least, when I'm on stage, I get so like uh I focus more on like my energy and like what I'm doing on stage during the song, like when I'm not singing. And then when it comes time to like start singing again, I'm like, oh crap, like I have to like I'll either come in late or I will end up singing the first verse again this for the second verse. And I'm like, oh, that was dumb. Like that's not those aren't the lyrics for that part. I've done that so many times. Like I've gotten to the point now where when I do mess up, I just keep going. Like you just have to keep going. You can't stop. So
I
you just
lazily hide on
yeah
the rule that because our songs haven't been released yet, that no one knows them. So no matter what I say is the song. So this time this
yeah
lyrics are this way. This time this lyrics are that way.
yeah. And then when they hear the actual song, they're like, oh, that's weird. It sounds different.
This sounds a little different than this time and this time I heard it. All right, sweet, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, it works. It sounds good though. Yeah, no, and it happens to me. And then usually when I once I realize I'm singing like the wrong verse or the wrong line or something, I keep going, but in my head I'm thinking, oh God, I just screwed this whole song up. Like in my head, I'm just totally down, like just like you stupid, like you've been singing this song for months now and you
Yep.
messed it up the one time you
I
needed
always
it.
I always look at our guitarist and I'm like, all right, well, let's see if I know the song this time. He's like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I definitely kind of play on. Do you just do like the clean vocals, or do you also do scream vocals as well with your
I
project?
do both.
Oh yeah, hell
Yeah,
yeah,
so I do both.
oh yeah. So,
Yeah.
same year, and so I always I'm like, dude, if it's a scream word, if it's part of the verse where I'm screaming, I don't give a if I forget the word, I'll just make a
Yeah, I mean,
really
who
nasty.
can understand you at
Yeah,
that
yeah, if
point?
I make a nasty enough sounding scream, no one's gonna understand me anyways. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I get that. Yeah. But I this will actually be a different kind of performance though for me, because in my old band I was the guitar player and the singer. In this band that I'm in, I'm just singing. So
Yeah.
I won't be playing guitar live, at least. So this will be different.
Figuring
So
out what
I'm
to
gonna
do.
have to like,
What do I do with my hands?
yeah, like what do I do with my hands now? Like, but the good thing is about that though is I'm gonna have total stage freedom
Yep.
to like roam around the stage without being strapped to a chord or a guitar or something. I won't have to focus on my chords or anything. Like I can just roam around the stage and just hype the crowd up more and get the crowd more involved in all the songs. And
Yeah, but I always found
yeah,
for the
I
problem
think
for
it'll be
me when
good.
it comes to run around on stage is with me being so fucking short. My guitarist and my bassist are way taller than me. And
Yeah.
this last show, it was like this last show was probably the worst time it's ever happened, but it was so funny. If I walked backwards on the stage because how small it was, and those two like took a step close to each other, it was like a fucking gate of guitar necks. And so like I'm trying to like run around the stage, so you just going like wee flying around the
Yeah,
stage and
he's
shit.
just like weaving in between people.
Oh, there's been so
Yep.
many times where
Yep.
like I was like not paying attention, headbanging, and the next thing you know, I'm headbanging into my guitarist. Is fuck. He likes to play a lot of V guitars, and so
Yeah.
there was one time I was like kneeling down on the stage and just going heavy with the headbang, and next thing you know, all you see is me go boom right into the corner of his fucking of his one of his wings
Oh.
on the guitar, and you saw I looked up and I see the crowd just going. Oh. It was so bad. I'm like, you can see me going like this, trying to check myself if I'm bleeding. It was so bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's how, like, I mean, luckily for me, I won't have a guitar player or anybody really up there besides Tyrell. And I think the way we're going to do it is he's going to be behind a table behind me, behind a table, just like playing the music from a laptop or whatever, hooked up to the PA, of course. And then he'll probably be in control of like all of our lights that we bring,
Oh hell
because
yeah!
we have like four small like light boxes that are
Fuck yeah!
on a bar. So he'll probably be controlling the lights and then the music, and then I'll just be out front, just singing and jumping around and stuff. So
Now, do you guys plan on
yeah,
just keeping it this way, or do you guys eventually plan on bringing like more guitarists, bassists, the full drummer?
um, if we, I feel like if we start playing bigger, like if we started opening for like bigger bands, like I did back in my old band, um, I feel like maybe we might want to get a guitar player and a bassist and maybe a drummer, just like the basic core that a live band
Needs.
needs,
Yeah.
maybe. But for now, like I think this will work, and it'll definitely get the point across musically, and for our stage set and everything. Like we actually have some really cool props that we're going to
Fuck
have
yeah!
on stage with us, because
Fuck yeah!
the way I
We
looked at it is,
we have an
okay.
alien that hangs out on stage with us.
Yeah, so like over here in this corner, we have I bought this like these Halloween decorations.
Fuck yeah!
One of them's like huge, like blow up. It's like a skeleton playing a piano,
Oh, that's so cool.
and it's like 5 feet tall. And then I have this other one that's like 7 feet tall, and it's a skeleton playing guitar. And we're gonna have those on stage with us, probably on both sides of Tyrell in the behind me. So it'll be visually entertaining, but at the same time, like I came to the conclusion, I'm like, okay, people go to see bands because they want to see the band like performing
Yeah.
live. And it's like, well, for us, we don't have a band, it's just the two of us, so we have to try to make up for that, the lack of people on stage or the lack of visual entertainment, I guess, with other stuff that can be seemed as funny or entertaining or comical, or just like, man, these guys aren't a full band, but man, they put on a hell of a show, like
That's
that's what we want.
that's exactly where I go the exact same kind of thought process with that. I don't know if I've seen it more nowadays in the past couple of years. especially since I've been more in like being able to be more present in the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like a lot of bands kind of lost that stage presence where they're just,
Yeah.
they look to see whatever coolest banner is and pyro and all that, but nothing outside of like, excuse me,
Yeah. You're good.
nothing outside of like like the crapcore days back when, like you had those, as cringy as it looked or as cliche as it can be, having those synchronized moments where everyone's kind of in sync doing the same thing, or like having those, you're talking about like these different stage props, like
Mm-hmm.
having the audience leave with like, what the fuck did not only did I just hear, but what the fuck did I just watch? I feel does so
Yeah.
much better for you.
Oh
It's like
yeah. Even if
for
they
like
don't like it,
exactly, yeah.
it's
They might
just
not like it.
memorable.
Exactly. Being memorable is what matters, I feel, in a big way. And
Yeah.
for us, like we don't that's cool as fuck that you guys have like all these massive kind of like stage props. That's so we have I have him in the studio as well. He's called we call him Jeff the Alien. That's his name's been my entire life. We've had this
Yeah.
alien since before I was born. It actually used to be an old nightlight. It's like a 5 foot tall alien nightlight that
Oh, see
when
that?
it had a
Yeah.
light, yeah, so when it had a light bulb in it that worked, it would be light, it'd be brighter than it turned the room into daytime.
Yeah.
It was so bright. And so we've had this alien forever, and I'm like, fuck it, let's just bring this on stage, just have fun with it. Let's just be goofy, because that's a big thing with us.
Yeah.
We call ourselves, a bunch of crazy weirdos, because none of us look like we're supposed to be in a metalcore band. Like our drummer looks like if John Bonham played in Nirvana.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then
Okay.
like our lead
Yeah.
guitarist is, I always make the joke that our lead guitarist is the closeted half dressed drag queen of Doyle. And then we call it
Okay.
our
I'm
bass is
picturing it.
right. And so then we all have stage names too. And so our bassist, we couldn't really think of anything besides Bjorn Bayside, because he's just a 6 foot something tall blonde Norse beast of a man, and so we call him Bjorn Bayside.
All right.
So yeah, so we call ourselves a bunch of
Makes
crazy
sense.
weirdos.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
exactly. Yeah, and so that's what we've been kind of trying to do. And then for like with what you're saying with like stage lights, the only thing the cool I think, no, my bad. The only thing we've been able to pull off so far was we have these light bars that we were given to us by
Hmm.
a buddy of ours band, and then we have a
Yeah.
kill switch that we mounted onto
Hmm.
the drum pedal. And
Oh,
so
okay. So then he can just kill it.
every time he kicks the drum pedal for the beat, the lights flash within the beat of music.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so we have
That's
those.
really cool.
Yeah, so we have those attached to our stage scrims, and that's about it for us. Besides, like I buy confetti cannons, and so I'll
Hmm.
blast off these little 3 foot confetti cannons on stage by hand. So yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like with what you're saying, like I think that with bands that pull those things out, where they're doing these extra little things that are making not only the music memorable, but just the experience of the show. Because I found every time, like I've had the coolest moment we've had so far as a band was the one was when we played that festival. We had those. It was like one of the first few times we pulled out the confetti cannons, and
Hmm.
I was like, well, fuck, where do I throw this thing now? Like I have nowhere. I don't
Yeah.
want to throw it on stage and trip over like a dumbass. So I'm like, I don't want to throw it.
Right.
Like I don't want to throw it side stage and then forget about it and get miss it. So I'm like, I'll just throw it in the crowd. And so I'm looking around for a clear spot, because it's a 3 foot long tube of cardboard. So I'm like, I'm trying to find a clear
Right.
spot to chuck this thing. I'm like, all right, there's no pits opened yet, so I can chuck this into. I'm like, all right, there's a small section right over here, right to the far right. Let's see if I can make it. And so I'm just like mid song, screaming, just I'm like, boom, and chuck this thing. And I almost hit somebody. I'm like, oh, shit, missed them. Thankfully missed these people in the crowd. But then all I see is this tiny person just go boom, flying for it. And I'm like, the hell's going on? And we
Yeah.
finished our set, and it was this little girl and her mom came like running up to us and was like, "Can you sign this?" It had the it was stomped on, beat the hell now, but it was she's written found the confetti tube, and I was like, "Hey, can you guys sign this?" And I guess it was like her first show. This kid's been has been like our biggest like #1 fan. It was such a cool moment. And that like kind of to me there like proved that like that thought process, like, yeah, okay, doing this kind of stuff, making that extra steps to not only just like make sure the music's there, but not only put the show there with it. It does it.
Yeah.
What I mean? It does so much more than just going out playing your songs and getting off.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get across to Tyrell when I was explaining to him our live shows. Was I was like, we don't have a full band for the crowd to be watching, so we need to make up for it. So instead of putting on a good sounding, I mean, of course we're going to sound good because it's mostly beats, and so the music's going to sound the same as it does on the album, but instead of trying to just put on a good show, I just go out, I'm like, you know what, I just want to entertain the crowd. Like, I just want to make them feel entertained.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
So that's, I mean, of course I'm going to be singing and dancing and, jumping around and stuff, of course. And we're going to have all the props and the lights going off and everything. But at the same time, it's like, I want people to be like, whether you, like you said, whether they like the music or not, I want them to be like, man, oh, the Dark Arts Festival was awesome, but that first band was crazy, like with their Halloween props and stuff. And like, yeah, like the Devil Below, go check these guys out. Like, they're pretty wild,
Yeah.
like, yeah. And that's kind of what we want to do. And of course, word of mouth is like the fastest form of publicity,
Yep.
even faster than social media, I think.
Yep.
But so,
I
yeah.
completely agree there. What a perfect way to end today's episode. Thank you so much for coming on, dude. This has been a complete blast.
Yeah.
Throw out your social medias where they can find you at.
So TikTok, it's the Devil Below Band. Let's see, Instagram, The Devil Below Music. I'm on Facebook. My personal Facebook, Parker G. Brandt. You could find Tyrell's Facebook on there, and then we have a band Facebook page. I believe it's just The Devil Below Music as well on Facebook,
Oh,
or
yeah.
you can just search The Devil Below. And the more important thing to remember is anyone who searches us, remember it's The Devil Below, no spaces. It's one word.
Okay, hell yeah.
So that's the key part. And then we're also on YouTube, all the streaming platforms as well, like YouTube Music, Apple, Spotify. We're on all of them. So
Hell yeah. And then
yeah.
your book title and where to find that.
Yeah, so the book, it's called The Secret Future, again by Parker G. Brandt. You can find that on Amazon, Lulu Books, or lulu.com. You can find it on Google Play, the audiobook store. You can buy the ebook. If you want a physical copy of it, Amazon's probably the way to go, and probably the fastest way to go. But you can also get it. You can get it through Barnes and Noble online as well. But yeah, those are pretty much the four that I used.
Hell yeah.
So
Hell yeah. Well, thank
so
you
yeah.
so much. Thank you so much again for coming on, man. I'd love to have you back on, even Tyrell as well next time, hopefully.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
absolutely.
That'd be badass as fuck. Well, thank you guys so much. Go follow him. Go find him on all social media platforms. Go stream The Devil Below. This book sounds phenomenal. I cannot wait for the live action movie to come out. Please keep me posted on this. I cannot wait to see it, and I cannot wait to read your book. It sounds
All
phenomenal.
right. Yeah.
Thank you
I'll
so much,
definitely
man.
keep you in the loop.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. See you around.
All right. See ya.